Hello, everyone. We're coming to you from PECT. We're going to be talking to you today about the benefits of net zero and sustainability to your organisation. This webinar will be delivered by Rob Bressler, who is a PECT associate and also an accredited carbon reporting manager. Take it away, Rob.
Thanks, Danny. I'm going to start this presentation with a bit of a slide from Forrester Consulting, who did a survey on behalf of Schneider Electric back in 2022. In this survey, they asked over 1,000 leading businesses about the benefits of sustainability to their business. Over and above the expected cost savings and energy savings, there were some really impressive statistics in terms of things like improved competitive advantage, improvements in their regulatory compliance, and also customer acquisition. In the slide on the right-hand side here, you can see that those organisations that had just started out this journey that were considered like low maturity, they had some really impressive results, over 60% improvements in all these areas. But those businesses that have been long established in sustainability initiatives found some really impressive statistics. As you can see, like 94% of increased competitive advantage over what they were doing before. So there's lots and lots of benefits to implementing net zero over above your standard resource efficiency gains. Resource efficiency is key though, and this is where a lot of small businesses can really make some savings. When we talk about carbon, we're talking about things that are in your sort of direct control, and there's lots of hidden costs to being inefficient. And this is a classic kind of iceberg model, as we call it, which shows the kind of the true costs of being inefficient. So if you're not being efficient and you're wasting energy, you're wasting raw materials, you're wasting time. And all of these things can be mitigated just by putting some things in place. So things like putting in energy efficient equipment, reducing drafts, reducing your transport costs can all make a huge impact in improving your carbon footprint and your overall bottom line. So there's some more stats for you as well to look at here. So when it over and above the cost savings, again, this whole thing about competitive advantage and making sure you're meeting the your current customers' needs, but also future clients as well is really key. So making sure that you've got products that are ready for that future market, things that are set up for new legislation are going to be really key. So as you can see from this slide, I'll just read out a few stats. So 78% of global customers feel that environmental sustainability is important and they like the idea of being sustainable. So being able to demonstrate that at your business and showing that you've put these things in place by doing a carbon report, demonstrating on a road to net zero can really help grab those new customers that are coming your way and making sure that you're ahead of the game and beating your competitors. So employee retention, that's another thing. People want to work with businesses that meet their own sustainability agenda as well. These are some interesting stats that have come from the Institute of Environmental Assessment. So people who are going into work now, they want to work in an eco-friendly building. They want to make sure they're in a building that's not drafty, is comfortable, but also is doing their bit to save the planet. Over 86% of respondents to the IEMA survey said they would remain with an employer if it reports on how it's lowering its environmental impact. And they also want to work with businesses that want to part with third sector businesses as well. So it's a great way to recruit new staff and retain them as well in the future. Now, when it comes to compliance for SMEs, there's lots of legislation that may impact you indirectly, because a lot of people in your supply chain and your stakeholders are being forced to do more and more carbon reporting and report on their carbon disclosures. So there's some key legislation that's out there, such as the Task Force on Climate Change disclosures that are implementing things like streamlined carbon and energy reporting and energy saving schemes. So these larger businesses with greater turnovers are having to report on these, and they are then having to go down to their supply chain to ask them for that information as well. So no doubt that you'll be asked these questions over time. And if you're in a better place to do that, if you've got that data, you've got that information at hand, you're in a better place to ensure you're going to win those tenders and those contracts. So thanks for your time. I hope that was useful. Danny, I know there was a couple of questions that came in from our viewers. Is there anything you can relate to me?
Yeah. So a key question would be, are smaller businesses or SMEs more likely or likely in the future to have increased reporting requirements for their environmental impact? And also, how can businesses prepare for this expectation?
Yes, so as I mentioned before, there's a lot of legislation in the pipeline that's being drafted and is already in place. And generally, you'll find that that's been the direction of travel. The environmental compliance is becoming stronger, not weaker. And the thresholds for reporting against these targets are become lower and lower as well. So a lot of the legislation that comes in often comes in for those larger businesses. And as that gets more established, that they'll generally lower the thresholds for which these requirements are going to be needed. So it's definitely on the way. So yes. What's the second part of that question?
How can businesses prepare for this?
So best thing to do really is to get your data in organised really. So the more information you can gather, even if it's just collecting your utility bills, getting understanding of where your energy consumption is, and then using that information to get that carbon data and carbon reporting organised, that can give you a direction of travel, see where the low-hanging fruit is to make those improvements, and being able to communicate that with your partners and your stakeholders.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rob. Please do stick around for our second webinar, which will be what is net zero and why does it matter?
Thank you.
Thank you.